How you doing, folks? Daryl Prail here, VanillaSoft. I'll be honest with you, I'm actually pumped. I'm personally excited. I'm bouncing off the page here because of this topic, shitty sales emails. Show of hands, how many people here get shitty sales emails and you just roll your eyes and you go, what were they thinking? Did nobody proof this? Did anybody actually read this before you pressed send? What do you think I'm going to do with this? I get this nonstop. Now, some of you are joining us today because you're like me and you get them and you just want to laugh. You want to see the train wreck. You want to join us in this epic ride we're going to be on for the next hour or so. Hopefully, many of you are here because you want to learn what not to do. And if that's why you're here, you're at the right place. So let me kind of set you through the logistics of today's show. Then I'm going to bring on my expert speakers. And these guys are I love these guys. These guys are thought leaders in their space. And you're going to love them as much as I do when we're said and done. And we're going to give you some actionable, tangible takeaways on how you can not write shitty sales emails and actually instead write emails that actually work as you intend and produce the results that you want. So with that started, let's go into the ground rules for today's show. It's pretty straightforward. What you need to know is that in front of you, you've got both the viewer to see this window right now, this live stream, as well as a chat window. So what you can do is go to that chat window. You can sign in as a guest. You don't have to create an account if you don't want to. I mean, you always can. If you go to our webinars on a regular basis, take 2 minutes, make the account, and then you never have to sign in again. But sign in as a guest. Just, put your name in and then contribute to the conversation. We'll be watching that throughout the show, and that's often the best conversation. So that's the first thing. Next thing you need to know is I can't hear you. So you can have background noise going on, not a problem, and we won't hear you. You're not a distraction. So if you're in that coffee shop, have those coffee bean grinders going. Life is grand. Next thing we always get asked, is this being recorded? Can I get a copy of it? The answer is absolutely yes. So 2 ways to ask questions. One is on social media, specifically Twitter, @VanillaSoft. Make sure you reference @VanillaSoft in your tweet. We'll get it that way. But the more common way, of course, is through that live chat. But that live chat is more than just questions. It is opinions, stories, anecdotes. It's not just us. It's all of us. Moving on to our speakers, I want to introduce to these 2 gentlemen, one at a time, of course, because they deserve that. First up is Jack. Now, Jack, I'm going to see if I get your name right here because it's a good, solid name, lots of vowels, makes you work at it. I'm going to go with Jack Kosakowski. Did I say that right?
Yep, you nailed it.
Oh, man. So, Jack, I'll give you the bio in a second here, but Jack and I have followed each other for a long time. We finally got a chance to meet back in London a few months ago, face-to-face, and it was a powerful conversation. This cat knows his stuff. He knows the players, he knows the tactics, he knows the technology. So he's coming with this, not just with his own expertise, his own personal experiences, but also the actual experiences of his client base. And that gives you context because he sees it from all different industries. If you don't know Jack, his contact information is on the screen in front of you. So if you're watching this on demand and you have a question for him, that's where you email him. The other thing you should be doing right now is going on LinkedIn, checking him out, and following him right away. But if you don't know him, he is a sales practitioner who is changing the negative image of millennials. He is the global head of B2B social sales execution for the Creation Agency, which is a sales training and marketing agency. He is also the co-founder of skillslab.io and a renowned sales blogger and podcaster. And that's where I first got exposed to Jack. You can find Jack's content in the New York Times, Harvard Business Review, Forbes, and a ton more top media publications. Jack, welcome to the show, my friend.
I'm excited for this one, so cheer some people up.
He's got the smile on his face already. You know he's going to be chirping. I like that all. Jason Bay. Jason is a great guy, and I like him because he is not just walking the walk, he's talking the talk. This is a cat that actually chased me down not too long ago to get on the podcast, or Inside Sales podcast, and he and I hit it off so well, I said, I got to have you back. So let me tell you a little bit about him. His entrepreneurial experience dates back to 2008. At 19, he ran his first 6-figure business painting houses while attending school at Oregon State University. He's worked with hundreds of sales reps and personally closed millions of dollars in revenue during his career. He, at Blissful Prospecting, is in charge of growing company revenue through marketing and sales efforts. But in his free time, Jason also enjoys stand-up comedy, reading, traveling, hiking, and geeking out on productivity tips. I love the stand-up comedy shtick. When did you get into that, and how long have you been doing it?
I did that, I want to say in 2015. It was something I wanted to do throughout college and just never really had the guts to do it. So I took some improv classes, kind of got in that way. And the first stand-ups that I recorded, every one of them is pretty funny to listen back to, because I only got a applause break at the beginning, no laughs for 3 minutes.
Yep, and then at the end.
So,
Talk about,
it was pretty humiliating.
So if you think sales is hard, guys, go on stage and try to get a tough audience laughing at you. That's something I've always wanted to do. Haven't worked up the courage to do it yet. So you're already doing better than I am. Congrats. All right, let's just get into the whole topic here, guys. This question. So how do you quit sending shitty sales emails? Jack, I'm going to go to you first. Now, I'm setting the stage for that, but talk to me about shitty sales emails. What do you see both as a recipient, as an advisor to your clients, and how do you coach people to not press send on that email they're so proud of?
I mean, I don't know if there's like a simple answer to that, but what I say is that I'm a big fan of modeling, right? So with my clients, the first exercise I do is I have to convince them that they send shitty emails, right? So if people don't think that they're sending shitty emails, you're already in a bad spot with my clients. So what I do is we do an exercise where we go through all of the emails that they are sending, and then we objectively read those back, right? So I think that, the first step of the process, just like if you're an alcoholic, is you have to know that you're an alcoholic. And so I think it's got to be very, very eye-opening. A lot of companies will say, well, we'll just look at the data, the open rates, the click-through rates. Well, that's great. But you know what? You could have, it's actually possible to have crappy emails that go out and still have data that's lying to you, right? So I think, that's where the first step in the process is. So I'd say if you're on this webinar right now, do you send shitty emails? The answer is probably 98 to 99% of you do. So keep listening, because you're going to actually get some feedback that'll make you have an aha moment. I think that's kind of the whole objective of this webinar right now.
It is. It's meant. That is actually an excellent point. So guys and gals, we're going to have fun today. All right. And if you see your email highlighted, just know it's anonymous. We don't know it was you, but have some fun with it. But let me come back to you for a second, Jack. So when you said you actually make them sit down and kind of read them, do they pick up on it often that it's shitty once they kind of hear it out loud, or do you have to point out to them often why it's shitty?
Yeah, I think, especially if you've got a team of people. So if you've got what happens is a lot of salespeople don't know what the other emails that other salespeople are sending. So if you get into a room where, you get on a virtual conference and you actually let everybody in the room see what other people are sending, it's very eye-opening, because, you're never usually having anybody judge your emails when you're sending it out one-to-one or one-to-many if you're using a VanillaSoft or sales acceleration tool. But when you go into a room and you put it on a big screen and there's a bunch of people there to judge you, you start to look at your emails in a completely different way.
And the funny part is, when it's up on that big screen, that's when you finally really see it for the first time, and you just go, what the F was I thinking? Oh, my goodness. All right. So now, Jason, I know you've got this whole formula. We're going to nail it later on, but I know there's a story that led to the creation of that formula. So talk to me about shitty emails and your experiences and how you tackle this with your clients.
I really love what you mentioned there, Jake. I think it's very similar in that a lot of our clients tend to operate in a box. So like when you're just with your sales team or just by yourself and you're sending emails and maybe you're getting responses, maybe you're not really getting any feedback on the emails that were really bad because they're just getting deleted. So a lot of people don't even really know what's connecting with the prospect because they don't have those conversations. So a lot of the premise behind the reply method was, myself doing a really shitty job of sending emails when I first started doing it back in 2013 and doing that mass blast approach because I read predictable revenue. And as soon as I started getting feedback and realizing like, hey, let me actually start talking to people that are doing this right, they spend a lot of time actually talking to prospects and figuring out what their job is. Like, what do they do? How do they measure their performance? How does your product or service connect with that? And work outside of the bubble at your company and really go out and talk to customers or people at your company that are working in the role of the people that you're emailing. So that was really how we came up with the reply method, was looking at, well, how do we actually take a buyer's approach to writing email copy and understand a little bit better about the people we're emailing or calling and how they like to buy and things that they respond to. I
love that you draw out the fact that it's a buyer's approach, right? Because we often in our role as sales, we look at it from our own point of view. What do we want to get out of this? What is the message we're trying to get? But the buyer's approach flips that upside down. It kind of says, how are they going to react? What's going to connect with them? And that's, if I had to look at the biggest mistake people make, and we're going to see that in the samples, it's that right there, that people are not viewing it from the buyer's point of view, from the recipient's point of view. So what are we going to cover today to that effect? Let's get into it. We're going to cover some examples. I think we have, 6, 7, 8 examples we're going to go through. We're going to go through them kind of fast. You're going to see a bit of a trend here, but you're going to get some giggles too. Then we're going to introduce the reply method. So that's REPLY. Each letter will stand for something. You're going to learn it shortly. That's my way of making you stick around until you learn what that is. Then we're going to come back and kind of recap what we learned and give you a few more tips and tricks to take it one step further. And then, of course, if there's any comments or questions that we didn't answer throughout the live show, we'll tackle it then. So let's kind of go to our first email example. This one is called Roast Your Prospect's Pain. This is addressed to Sarah. Poor Sarah. Sarah, we do struggle with insert pain point you solve for your clients. And yes, folks, that's what it said. It didn't actually have a pain point there. It said insert the pain point. Funny because it's true. How can I help you? Your prospects after your reps roast a pain you solve for them. Comedy roasts see comedians deliver biting truth bombs lasting no more than 15 seconds to elicit huge laughs. They're remembered and repeated by those who heard them. If your team could make your prospect laugh by highlighting a painful truth via cold outreach, do you think it could start more conversations? If you think so or are not convinced, I invite you to check out Virtual One-Pager, home to my CEO Explainer and CEO Testimonial video. I can help on-site or remotely. Please get in touch to learn more. So where do you want to start with this? I think this one was one of the ones that you provided, Jason. I know what my reaction is to many of the elements of this, but what makes this a shitty email? We'll start with Jason, and we'll go to Jack.
Yeah, so this was one that was sent to my wife, Sarah, actually. So I've actually looked at this guy's website, and he's actually kind of well known in the stand-up comedian world. The thing that's missing from this is there isn't really a clear result, and he doesn't really talk about any pain points. Like he says, your prospects after reps roast you, roast the pain you solve for them, bite bombs, truth bombs. It's not to the point. I don't really see what this person is trying to help with other than to make our emails funny. And I'm not really sure how that's going to help with our goals of increasing our sales pipeline. You know what I mean? That's not really evidently clear to me.
Jack, any immediate reactions?
Funny thing is I know exactly who this is, and I've never seen this email. I know who's pitching this. That's funny. It's just an absolute terrible email. I mean, where could I start? But I think number one thing that I absolutely hate is I hate. Here's the thing: is people think that they're delivering value because they're giving you something, right? So I'm just going to point this out because I say this all the time: is if you think so or aren't convinced, I invite you to check out this virtual one-pager, home to my CEO Explainer and CEO Testimonial video. Well, the first thing is you're delivering me something where you're talking, right? It's a self-serving thing at that point when your piece of value that you're delivering to me is you actually is you trying to pitch me. That is not I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is that's not actually your value proposition piece of content, right? It's a self-serving thing, and it's really not going to do you any good. I mean, along with all the other, how bad the messaging is and all that. But I think that's a big point, is what are you delivering in your first touch that would actually make me think to myself, oh, wow, this person is actually giving me something of value to take a look at and kind of drive a little bit heavier engagement into the process, right? And a lot of people go wrong there. They either don't have that one piece of value content, or the piece of value content that they're using sucks and it's very self-serving. So it actually does the opposite of what it should achieve.
So for me, I see a variety of issues here. I see the what's in it for me. Every single email I open up is what's in it for me. And I have no idea what's in this for me. He doesn't speak to who I am. He hasn't customized this either for my persona or my industry. He says we do struggle with, okay, clearly it's a template, so you couldn't even be bothered to update it and put in whatever the pain point it is you think we struggle with. Unless that's intentional, in which case I'm not getting that it's intentional. So that's the first part. The next thing is this. It's an incomplete sentence. Your prospects after your reps, what's the pain you solve for them? I have no idea what that means. It's broken English. At this point in time, I've actually checked out. But if I were to go on, I see virtual one pager. What is a virtual one pager? Is that a name? Is that what you're calling it? Because I would expect that to be like, the actual title of the page as opposed to a virtual one pager. What that tells me is that you don't understand sales or marketing, and therefore, why would I ever hire you? You have no credibility. Home to my CEO explainer and CEO testimonial video. Okay, are you a CEO or do you think I'm a CEO? Because I'm confused. And I'm already wasted, 60 seconds reading this. So why am I going to go waste more time to go watch your video or check out your one pager? I'm just going to move on. So for me, this did not connect to me, which was ironically because it's all about your prospect's pains, but I'm his prospect and he didn't hit any of my pains. So that was my reaction to that. All right, let's move on to the next one. And it's an important letter for Jason. I'm guessing this one went to you, Jason, as opposed to your lovely wife, Sarah. Dear Jason, I wanted to send you a quick note, but I don't have your home address. So I put this letter online for you as a PDF. Click here. Take a look. All the best. P.S. This is just for you. It's very time sensitive. Please don't share it with anyone else. So, Jason, why did this email not work for you?
Well, there's zero context into this email, right, around what this person's trying to do, pain points that they solve, et cetera. The thing I hate most about this, though, it's very deceptive. So they said, this is just for you. It's very time sensitive. If you're going to pretend that something is very personalized and then I look at the document and it's like just a generic document, I have zero trust in you at that point. So deception is not something I've ever seen work well in a prospecting campaign. And those are really the two big issues I have with it. It doesn't really look like it's for any particular persona at all. It's very generic.
Jack, what jumps off at the page? This is the first time Jack has seen this. So this is just so you know, I provided some emails. Jack did. Jason did. So the rest of us had not seen them. We're seeing it live the first time.
Yeah, it looks like a phishing email almost, right? Like where you they try to get you to click it so they can scam you, like the Nigerian.
The Nigerian prince.
Or holding your family hostage, send $5,000. Yeah, this is just absolute disaster of an email. It doesn't even. I would hope that whoever sent this is already had you're already in the sales process or something. I'm not, maybe this was referenced in a sales call. I'm not sure, but I don't even know where to start with this. It's just absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even have to have coaching on this one. You should just, if you think this is good and you're in sales, go find a new career.
It's this. I love your point about phishing because this feels and smells like a phishing email to me too, and I would never click on that unless I did some more scrutiny. That's the first thing. Second thing, I don't know, but I'm surprised neither one of you said this, but I'll say it. I'm creeped out that they're implying they kind of want my home address. Why would you ever send something to my home address? Please don't ever do that. That's just not cool. But you're right. I love the point you're making, Jason, about, please don't share this with anyone else. It's deceptive. This is this is just for you. I can almost hear the Mission Impossible music. And then it's just a generic piece of content, which says there's no customization gone into this at all. So again, this is, if an email is a form of communication, the whole point is you're trying to develop a relationship, and relationship is built on trust. And to Jason's point, especially, this is doing the opposite. This is breaking down any trust I may have in you. All right, so let's move on to the next one called Coming Back Around. And I get variations of these emails all the time, right? Just wanted to float my email back up. Working on, and we put the dashes in there, folks, just so we didn't give away who it was. Working on whatever. We are a software development company partly based in San Francisco. We partner with early-stage tech companies to improve existing products and or build out new innovative ideas. Google, Amazon, and others who were once startups are now customers of ours. How's your current roadmap look? Anywhere we can add value? Let me know how next week looks for a quick intro call. Let's go with you first, Jack. What's your reaction when you read that one?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just don't even know what they do, to be fair.
I have no idea what they do either. But apparently, Google and Amazon, who were once startups, are now their customers.
Now, I would say that could be a positive, right? I mean, you can always, if you had a good email and you want to reference a few competitors of your competition. So I guess I'm going to give you a thing that they somewhat did well. It is always, I mean, I always think it's fine to mention some really credible people that you work with, as long as your value proposition is tight enough where people understand, yeah, okay, I understand what you guys do, and yes, there is a way that you could help me by reading this, and I do have a problem, and I would love to talk with you. Oh, and you work with Google, right? So if you had that tight, the value prop messaging, and it was short and sweet, and it really spoke to me, and I saw that you worked with those big companies, that's probably the only thing in here that I see that they do good. I just don't know I don't even know what they do. I wouldn't even know if I should book a call or if it's even worth my time.
And the only way you can actually reach out to them is to reply to this email, by the way. Jason, your thoughts of this email?
I think the language is very passive. So, just look at the call to action. Let me know how next week looks for a quick intro call. You kind of need to remove some steps from the prospect. So even if the email was good, you need to be a little bit more specific and don't make this a 2 or 3 emails back and forth to schedule a call. I also feel like you're asking a lot when you're saying, hey, how's your current roadmap look? Anywhere we can add value. You should already know as a salesperson what your value prop is and where you could add value. And you should be pointing to a pain point you think they might have and how you could add value to that through a piece of content, hopping on a call and sharing some ideas. There just isn't really anything that connects what they do to any sort of value that they could provide me.
So it's funny you mentioned the anywhere we can add value. That's what jumped off the page at me, which my immediate reaction I wrote down here was, how the hell do I know what you can, I don't really know what it is you do other than you're a software development company. And that's really open-ended. I don't know where you're partly based in San Francisco, which tells me you're probably just a sales office in San Francisco, 1 or 2 people, and the rest are all offshore, overseas, probably, which I'm cool with. But again, you're misrepresenting yourself. Tell me if you're, you get the benefits of being offshore, plus you have the local representation. Well, then that's an upside, as opposed to trying to represent yourself only being, in the valley. But anywhere you can add value, this is what I see over and over and over again in these emails that I get, is that people are making me have to connect the dots between what I need and what you can do. And often it's a feature function, and I don't understand how your features or your functions add value to me or help me out. I don't have the insight and that knowledge. And this is a classic case, but it's also, to your point, passive language. I almost want to add a please in there. Let me know how next week looks for an intro call, please. It's almost like please, Yeah. Anyway, that one.
I think the other thing that, and I'm looking here, is like, you have to have a link in you always have to have a link to go see to your website or to a specific campaign landing page or something that they can reference back. I see that so many times in an email. I'm like, there's no link for me to even go do any more research in here. So that's one thing I really evaluate in your emails is, what do you have for me to click through that's relevant to the actual messaging that would get me to click through to do some more research? And if you're trying to cookie people, which is what you should be doing with your cold emails in the first place, right? Trying to get them cookied so we can start to get an idea of how active they are, get them through a lead scoring process, be able to monitor, if they're reading my emails, what they're clicking through. So I think, that's a big thing that you need to think through on your emails is, what do you have for people to click through? Whether that's, value of delivering content or just going to the website, right? And giving somebody a really quick access to click on something.
All right, I'm going to speed up a little bit here. We have more slides and emails. I'm going to go to the one that says checking in. Hi, Daryl. I know you would see tremendous success on company name. They actually had their company name there. I know you would see tremendous success on company name. Our goal is to help you reach your business goals, as we're able to identify customers at the lowest possible acquisition price and drive more users down the funnel towards purchases. Please let me know when you're available this week for a quick chat. And if this is something that you are not interested in at this time, please let me know as well. Looking forward to hearing from you. So since this was addressed to me, I'll go first. A couple things is, it opens up with, I know you would see tremendous success on ABC Inc. I don't know I'd see tremendous success on ABC Inc. I've never heard of you, or if I had heard of you, I have this thin understanding of who you are, and I'm probably doing you a vast disservice to pretend I understand your capabilities. So you're making an assumption. You don't know jack shit, shitty emails about what it is I'm doing and who I am. So this is presumptive. The next one is, our goal is to help you reach your business goals. Okay. And then you go on about getting identified customers at the lowest possible acquisition price and drive more users. So are you assuming that's my goal? I mean, it's not an unreasonable assumption. Maybe you're doing that based on my title, but tell me, or say, identify that many of our clients come to us because this is what they want to do. Or, when we talk to other chief marketing officers, they tell us this. But right now you're just being, again, continuously presumptive. And again, let me know when you're available for a quick chat. I get so tired of seeing that. If you want me to chat, give me options. Can we book it now? Can you suggest some dates? Can you give me a calendar link? I don't know what it is. But this is just a back and forth that I don't have time for. So that was my reaction to this. Gentlemen, who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Jason.
There's no, empathy is so important in sales and prospecting, and they don't really show any empathy towards you through any acknowledgement of a challenge. So, if I were to pretend this is a Facebook agency, let's say, one thing that they could do to connect we're able to identify customers at the lowest possible acquisition price and drive more users down the funnel towards purchase is say something like, hey, Daryl, a lot of the marketing teams we work with that do Facebook ads, what they tell us is that they run out of ideas to A/B test after they do it 2 or 3 times. And there's just no acknowledgement of any sticky challenge or anything that you would contextually come across on a daily basis.
And if I heard that, you'd have my attention, especially the part of, I run out of ideas after 2 or 3 campaigns. That's like, let's talk more, because for me on that front, if you've got proven winning campaigns you've done for other clients that I can learn from and cut through some cycles, then I'm all about that, because there's an ROI on that. I don't mind paying a little more if it saves you some time and gets me, prevents me from making the mistakes that others have made. Jack, what's your reaction when you look at this one?
Yeah, I mean, same thing kind of he said. The easiest thing I can think of is, let's just use, you've got a SaaS product, right? A freemium trial, or you've got, you've got something that you could easily outline 3 pain points. So, number one is, a lot of the customers, if you're like a lot of our customers, they don't know what their true customer cost per acquisition cost is, right? Pain point number one. Number 2 is they don't know what their customer lifetime value is, right? So now you're at a rock and a hard place at this point. If you are 1 or 2, then here's a calculator to help you figure this out. And if you still don't know those numbers, then here, book a time for us to talk, to kind of walk you through your numbers, right? So I think I always like to have the 1, 2, 3 pain points. And if you don't fit, maybe you've got one right, but you're missing the other 2. Here's something to help you figure that out. And then that's the best part, because if they go to that and they still can't figure it out, then their next step is that they have to talk to you, right?
Right.
So you set that up very, very strategically. And you could change this email very simply to actually be really, really effective in an easy way.
I agree. Next one. This one will be a fast one. Ideas for VanillaSoft. Hey, Daryl, I had a few ideas to generate customer interest in your sales funnel software services at whatever.com. May I send further details? Love the brevity on this one. I have no idea who you are and why I would care about your ideas. So I might go check you out on LinkedIn. If your profile is substantive, I might actually respond to this, except one thing. I don't do sales funnel software services. So because I don't do sales funnel software services, I hit delete. And that shouldn't be a mistake you're making. That should not be a mistake you're making. Brutal. All right, next one. Lead generation program. Hi, Daryl. Hope you're doing great. They don't really care. I just called you and left a voicemail, a message. I want to reintroduce our company and have the opportunity to tell you all the new things and improvements we have done throughout these years. About us, blah, blah, blah. If you have any availability I want to discuss. Thanks for your time. So a few reactions here. There's a lot of we in this. We do this and we do that and we do this and we do that. There's no me in this. No one's talking to me and what I'm about. My big takeaway when I read this is, why do I care? You're calling me to reintroduce yourself, and then you immediately jump into what you do. So
No, I
really,
think
it's not about me, it's about you. Go ahead.
there's a red flag here. It's I.
Yes.
So that's a number one red flag, because I think that's an actual way to get people to think differently, is if you have I and we more times than you have you have a bad email, right?
Nailed it.
So, yeah, so take out your I's, take out your we's, and what it'll do is it'll force you to write better copy. And I've found that exercise alone, if you're in sales, force yourself to not write any I's in an email, not write any me's, and then try to figure out how to do we's and you's, because we is collaborative and you is speaking to you. So that little exercise alone, you could easily fix this email by just eliminating those.
And the other part there I see over and over again is you're making me try to figure it out. Again, I'm looking at this. You've thrown out, you do ERP, telecom, marketing automation, AI, and security. You also do content syndication, as well as HQL, MQL, demos, appointment settings. So basically, you do every flipping thing in the world, and you're hoping that one of those things jumps out at me, and I'm going to go, damn, I need a demo. These guys might be able to help me out. When there's just no, they do everything. Why would I do? Anyway, that's my complaint. And Jason, anything on this one?
Definitely echoing what Jack said, but the other thing too is that, like, they could literally eliminate the first two paragraphs of this email. And there's nothing connecting what they're doing to any challenge that you're having or any result that you would like to have. There's like none of that at all.
So if I recap a little bit, maybe before we go into the actual reply method, some of the things we've seen, Jack nailed it. The whole I versus you is huge. And I know Jason's going to talk about that in his reply method. Understanding the persona. What does the recipient of this message care about? And Jason opened up by talking about that. What do they care about? Why should they give you time of day? And my personal pet peeve, don't make me figure out what the hell it is you do and why I should care, because I'm not going to bother. I'm going to move on. The other theme there we got was an email is all about establishing or building trust and building a relationship. It's the start of a whole customer experience. And right now, a lot of these are deceptive, a lot of these are disingenuous, and a lot of these are just not positively reflecting on your own brand and credibility and why I would actually want to trust you. So there's.
I'm gonna jump in here too.
Yeah.
Eliminate the word lead generation on every single email that you have. So I think what's happening is international lead generation people on Upwork, and this is nothing towards them, but the word lead generation has a very, very negative connotation. Everybody's using it, and a lot of times it's like very non-credible people. We're way past lead generation, right? Like, people are like, leads are kind of a thing of the past. We're kind of moving on to like more marketing qualified lead, more marketing qualified and bigger words. So if you do have an agency or something like that, what we find is the term lead generation just does not work anymore. People they read right through it.
And I'll support that. To me, number one email I get as a chief marketing officer is all around lead generation, that and website design, followed closely by, search engine marketing.
SEO.
Yeah, there we go. SEO and SEM. And the whole lead generation just feels slimy, which is unfortunate. But it's a lot of like, it feels like list rentals and fly by night operations, and it's just, show me what you're doing. Let me see your work. Let me see, talk my language, and then I will give you the time of day. But Jack, you nailed it on that. All right. So we've set the stage. We've taken almost half an hour to talk about bad emails. So Jason, you have come up with this reply method, and I love it. We're going to go into each letter one at a time, but maybe you can set the stage. REPLY. Why do we want to use the reply method?
Well, the reply method is a framework that you can use to write emails from scratch. So a lot of the pain points I hear from salespeople is like, where do I start? And oftentimes when they write emails, it's one-offs. They rewrite the entire email the entire time and don't work from some sort of template that they've created to improve. So it's really eliminating that pain point, creating some predictability. And then the other part too, and we mentioned this at the very beginning, is most salespeople are not looking at things from the prospect's perspective. So all of this is geared towards what's going to resonate with your prospect. And you can just really literally follow it step by step to write that first email. All
right. So now this is the first time, just to have some fun with you guys, this is the first time that Jack is seeing this as well. So I'm curious to see what his reaction is. And Jack, if you don't agree with what Jason's saying, put it out there. Take it apart. It's all fun. We're all here to learn. So the first letter is R, stands for results. So talk to us about what that means and how we should think about results.
So you mentioned this, Daryl, right off the top when you looked at an email. You're thinking, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
So that's every prospect is immediately thinking of like, what's in it for me? And you really need to sort of pique the prospect's interest and get them to be like, hey, this looks interesting. That's all you're looking for. This looks interesting. And the way you do that is through a compelling value prop. And on the results piece, the important part here is to think about what result does the persona that I'm reaching out to, like what does the individual person, not the business, a business cares about growing and being profitable. That's like very, very generic. What does the persona, what does the VP of sales or whoever that I'm reaching out result that they are trying to get, that their performance is measured by? And do I have some sort of compelling statement with that? So like when we're doing prospecting to reach out to businesses to help them with their prospecting, it's, hey, we help sales teams spend 3 to 4 times more time in front of their ideal customers. That's our value prop. Any VP of sales, director of sales is going to care a lot about that. So making sure that it's a result that the prospect cares about, not what you care about getting for them.
Jack, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, results or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, no, I mean, I think the biggest problem with a lot of salespeople is they might not know because they're trained pain, right? So a lot of times I always say this in sales training, you get trained pain. You sit through 2 weeks of training and they go, these are the 5 pain points that your buyers have, and we want to nail these, right? Well, the problem is that as you actually start to become have a true understanding of your buyers, is that none of them have those same 5 pains. They might be bucketed into that, but they're like different. So, the hardest part of a cold email is not writing it to trained pain, as Jason's saying, is like, what's the result? And try not to be so generic that they know it's a canned email, right? You really have to be deep about like, what is the result that they're looking to achieve, and so that you don't sound like everybody else, because I feel that that's the number one dagger in most of the cold emails that we see our clients sending or that we receive is, this is so generic that it has to be a template because you're saying the same thing that everybody else in your space is sending me as the pain that I have. So you got to dig deep and really figure out, when he talks about the result, what is that result that nobody else is talking about that is actual pain to them?
So I love that. So you're going almost one step further, not just what's the result that they care about, what's that result that's unique and will stand out from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give me an example of that, whether it's with your own agency or some of your clients?
Yeah. So let's say you're pitching an agency, right? So if I was pitching agency services, what's everybody else pitching? Lead generation, SEO, this and that, right? So we talk about the innovative way to capture the attention of your buyers and get them to fill out a form in a noisy world, right? So what a lot of customers that we're seeing problems having is, it's not that they need more content. A lot of them have content. They just can't figure out how to get people to actually click through the content, right? So that's talking about it is, hey, you've got a ton of content, and we're not just like every other marketing agency. We're going to tell you you need to have more content. But how do we creatively and innovatively get people to actually pay attention in your ads and drive them through to this content? So there's a play on saying the same thing, but going a step deeper into, not only do we help you with this, but, that's not actually your problem. Your problem is this, right? Which is that next deeper layer of what they're actually looking for help for.
So let me explain on that a little bit. So this is what I just heard Jack say, and I need more leads, right? And that's a pain I have, kind of exactly what Jason was saying. But he says something there that as a CMO bounced off the page at me, which is his example of going one step deeper. So now what he said that worked for me was in a noisy world. And I'm like, there's so much noise, where it's in social, website traffic, distractions, advertising, trade show events, and my poor buyer does not know where to go. So how do I stand out above the noise? So I love it. It was about getting more leads, but one step further, and he visually described the hell I'm living in so that I just emotionally connected with him. That is powerful.
If you go even deep layer, is that what we find is that CMOs are spending tons of money on content creation, right? They're spending tons of money on SEO. The problem is that they're not getting any return on that money of all the content they're spending because they're not amplifying it in a way that's actually capturing people's attention, right? So it's that step further of what every other agency is pitching, which is content marketing, SEO, right? That's not actually their pain in most cases. It's that deeper layer of how do we get people to actually see all of that content and engage and interact with it that we've spent all this money on, right? And that's really where their head's at right now. And that's where you really have to know your kind of buyer, like Jason said, and know your persona is, it's no longer about more content. It's no longer about SEO. Now it's about how do we get people to actually see and engage with all this stuff that we have spent all this money on with other agencies?
So this is probably a good segue, I'm going to think, Jason, because
Yep.
you talked about setting the result, and then ironically, Jack started getting into the E, which is empathy. Talk to us about that.
This is like stuff gets me super excited because Jack obviously understands like sticky challenges and digging a layer deeper. So if I'm writing an email, I have that value prop, the result. So that's the first thing I'm figuring out. What is the result that I'm going to talk about? And then right above that in the email, I'm going to use this empathy piece. So when prospects look at emails, one of the big things that they're thinking is, you're not one of us, right? And you need to use and show them that you understand where they're coming from, that you've walked in their shoes or understand the shoes somewhat that they're walking in. And a really easy, way to do that is to actually have these conversations with prospects, which it sounds like Jack has done like a lot of. And like the way that I would open an email if we were sending emails to, CMOs and things like that, and we're selling agency services is I would say what he just said, hey, one thing that, CMOs are telling us of contracting firms or whatever you work for is that, it's a really noisy world out there and they're not quite sure how to get the best ROI from the content they're creating and getting people to come back and visit whatever pain point, that you want to get in their language there. That's what I would insert right above the results. And really, the only way that I find to accomplish this is to actually have conversations with people that are paying you money right now and ask them, hey, where were you at before you purchased our product or service? What pain points were you having? Like what caused you to pick up the phone when we called or to respond to our email or to fill out the ad and like really get a very good idea of where they were at and the situations that they were experiencing so you can get it in their words.
So Jack, I'm curious, how do you help your clients or your employees, really master that empathy? You've heard Jason say, I think he's right. You almost need to interview and talk to a lot of people who are in that role to get in their head and feel their pain. How is there anything you've learned beyond that to help master that?
Well, I think it's the evolution of the business. So, you should be having those conversations in your sales meetings or in your marketing meetings is like, okay, where do we see the future of our product or service? Where is this going and how is it changing, right? So internally, you can kind of figure that out. I mean, one of the things that we realized is that content creation's a dime a dozen now, right? I mean, there's a lot of people you can go buy blogs from Upwork or Fiverr. But what's happening is a lot of the quality is going down. So one of the things is, the quality of the content's going down, and we see that happening. So instead of us talking about, oh, we're going to do cheap content marketing, now we're saying, no, let's actually do really, really deep, high-end content marketing that's data-driven and research-based. And so as we see that happening, as we're saying, we're not going to be the cheap content marketing agency anymore, right? We're not going to give you just crappy SEO content from a third world country, right? No, we're saying is, okay, let's go invest in partnerships with some research firms that are very expensive, but put a Gartner type style approach on content. And let's sell really good content at a really high price that'll actually get engagement for the CMO and actually drive that high level of fighting the noise and getting people to actually want to download something that's high end. So that's a new messaging strategy, right? As we know that that's shifted in our agency is we're going to go on a whole different content marketing research-based strategy. Now that messaging is going to go into the cold emails, right? Because that's what we see the future of this happening. And I think that's where being an expert and not being an expert is really going to either help you or hurt you in your emails. That comes with experience. There's just a lot of people, I think, that send bad cold emails because they just don't have the experience enough to be able to send good ones quite yet.
So one of the things I would suggest if you're listening to this is if you're not already recording your calls, make an effort, source a solution to record the calls. You can do that often in your VoIP software, your sales engagement software like VanillaSoft, or you can use conversational intelligence or analytics tools that will do that for you as well. And the reason I bring this up is because with all your reps making those calls, they're going to get those stories, and you're going to learn the challenges that this persona is facing over hundreds of those conversations. And you can share that amongst your reps so that I can then translate to your email. So kind of recap, reply method, open with the results, and then building on what Jack says, go that next level deeper, that stand out from your competition and really empathize with them and the challenges they face and the heartache they're struggling with and the distractions that are preventing them from being successful. And now we move into the P, which is personalization. So what does that mean, Jason?
This one's fairly straightforward, but you need to move beyond merge tags. So if you're not showing the prospect that this isn't a mass email, you're going to really be missing out on, probably 10, 15% plus that you could add to the reply rate. So it needs to go beyond first name, company, the first two sentences. Most of the data I've seen on this shows that about 20% of the email should be personalized. And I typically like to have reps look for something you have in common with the person on their LinkedIn. So if it can be personal in nature and business, maybe work for similar companies, a company that's working with you is a competitor of one of theirs, something like that. And then the other way to do that too is if someone's creating content like yourself, Daryl. It doesn't have to be complicated. Listen to one of the podcasts, as you're working, and find a couple sentences in there that you can throw in and really show that you did your homework. So
I love where you're going with that because, for example, if I got an email and it was personalized, not just "Hi, Daryl from VanillaSoft," you got the merge tags you talked about, but if it went one step further and said, I'm making this up right now, as you continue to strive to differentiate yourself from vendors like SalesLoft and Outreach, yada, 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 I'm like, ooh, this individual knows my world. This has got my attention, I've not received another email today or this week that actually has identified my competition and knows that is every single day. So how do I differentiate? What do I have different message? How do I, go where they're not? How do I bob when they weave? Whatever it might be. So that whole idea of personalization for me, it's almost, I'm building off of maybe what Jack was saying. We started with the results and he said go deeper, which is really empathy. But now we're personalizing, again, go deeper on the personalization. Jack, I'm curious, what's your reaction to that and how do you do that? Do we have time to be searching everybody's social media profiles to try to identify? I know there are social tools out there, AI tools that will recommend language for us to do exactly this. What are your thoughts on all of the above?
Okay. So personalization is a tough one. I think that's where the scalability factor, people struggle, right? Because you want to say, you don't want, you struggle with the fact of how do I have my sales reps do cold emails? Do we put them in a cadence, right? And then let them drip, or do we do what Jason's saying and, go and spend the time to research? My personal opinion is I don't like massive cold emails at scale. I've never liked it. I just think it's just a terrible way to train your sales reps. It's a terrible strategy, but I know people have a lot of success with it, or they say they do. So I've just never really seen that. Personalization is just a tough one. Me personally, I believe in building your personal brand, or at least building your presence online and, doing a few different things so that when you do send that email, you can personalize it and you kind of have that touch point. But I think personalization is changing for me when it comes to cold email. It's more about the branding aspect of what you do online before you send that cold email to me. That seems like it's more effective in the actual personalization when your email goes out, if that makes sense. Hopefully I made a little sense there.
No, it does make sense to me. And that's almost the street cred, right? So if your email is compelling enough, the first thing I will go do is I will go look you up on LinkedIn. And if I see content there, two things will have happened. One, you'll have intrigued me enough to think that maybe this cat knows what they're talking about. And then two, I go to LinkedIn and I see all that content and I go, dang, they're worth my time talking to. I think they might have some information that I don't have. Okay, this is worthy of my time. But the other thing you can do, to your point, is you can bring that personalization in. You can actually say, in fact, to Jason's point, I just did a podcast on this with Jason Bay and Jack Koskowski, right? And you check it out. You might enjoy it. Total sidebar, whatever it might be. But again, you're conveying that this is real. You're real, and you get that they're real, and we're in this together. I love that. Now, I'm going to segue to the next step. Jason, you talk about a laser focus. So what does that mean?
And again, this one's a way. So once I've got the result down, I've plugged in the challenge above it, and I've plugged in the personalization above that. I'm thinking, well, how do I concisely wrap this email up? So a couple of rules that I've seen, and there are certainly exceptions, but if you can keep the email between 4 and 6 sentences or under 150 characters, and essentially, like a lot of the emails that we looked at today, if you're the person writing those emails, I would think of it like this. I have to cut down everything that I write by 1/3 to 1/2. And a lot of it, you're going to be able to do that by removing I's and, things like that. So 4 to 6 sentences, got to be under 150 words. And in terms of call to actions, it has to be very concise. It can't be, like in the first email, I am a fan of, the very first time you talk with someone, be like, hey, does this sound interesting? Or is this worth a chat? But as I start to get down through the emails, especially if I've sent 2 or 3, I'm getting very specific. Hey, are you available this upcoming Wednesday or Thursday after 3 p.m.? What works best for you? Or, hey, these are times that I'm available. If you can't find something that works for you, here's, a calendar link to check it out. But you got to be super focused. And another little hack there is, send it to yourself and open it up on your phone. And if you have to scroll very much on your phone, it's probably too long.
So, Jack, I'm curious, from your point of view, are there any kind of, tactics or advice you can have to help people, be concise, to have that brevity so that the message is consumed as opposed to skimmed or forgotten?
Yeah, I don't like paragraphs, so I do everything as 1 sentence, space, 1 sentence, space, 1 sentence. I've just always done my emails like that because that's the way that I read emails. It's like an executive, right? Like if an executive writes another executive an email, that's how you want to structure your emails. So if you watch executives, most executives don't write you a paragraph, right? They say, we have a meeting at 2. Can you make it? ? Right? It's like 1 line, 1 line. So I think if you can shorten it, is like he's saying, be as laser focused as possible and make it look like it's coming from somebody else that you regularly have conversation with, right? I think there's an art to the positioning and format when you're being laser focused.
And the beauty of what Jack just said is that will stop me from skimming because I can consume the nuggets quick and dirty. And big paragraphs, I'm just going to jump over with my eyes and try to get to the point, and I may miss something important. Last but not least, ironically, we started the whole conversation at the end of our email samples. Jack brought up the point. It was all about you. The Y in reply stands for you. Jason, I'll let you do this since this is your formula, baby.
Yeah. And Jack, you already shared basically my hack for this is if you use, I and we more times than you use you and your, that's just an automatic no. I try to, even if it's not a complete sentence, I try to cut out I's. So instead of the personalization at the beginning, say, I listened to a podcast you recorded, I just say, listen to a podcast you recorded on this, really got this out of it. So removing as many of the I's as possible. And there's so much psychology that we don't have to dig into right now that talks about, when you talk about we and you, just like you mentioned, Jack, people actually want to join in on the conversation versus making it about yourself.
All right. So last slide, tips and tricks. We've hit some already about the spacing of the letters and that word count. But I recall, Jason, you also have a couple tools that you recommend to use.
I really like Grammarly. So if you're a salesperson and you're writing emails, you should absolutely have Grammarly installed on your computer. It's going to catch all it. For those of you that don't think you have typos in your emails, you probably do. So I catch mine all the time. And then Hemingway app is another one. Both free tools. With Hemingway, you can copy and paste your email copy into there, and it'll kind of tell you if a sentence is too hard to read. And you can go through and use it as an editing tool that way.
Jack, are there any tips and tricks as far as tools or other resources you rely upon for your email efforts?
No, I don't really think tool is going to fix your problem. I mean, obviously you need to have an email tool that gets the emails in the inbox, right? We find that with our customers a lot. They're using tools that their emails are all going to junk spam. So my number one trick would be make sure your whatever ESP you're using, whether that's VanillaSoft or something else, make sure you're testing and sending to customers to make sure that they're getting your emails. I can't tell you how many sales teams are sending out cold emails and all their emails are going to junk and they're not working with their IT team to make sure that works, because otherwise you're just wasting your complete time. But I think, the main thing for me is challenge people, challenge yourself to get critiqued, right? Put all of your emails, especially if you're putting them in a cadence, put them through the ringer with multiple different people and tell people to not hold back. And challenge it, quit sending emails on your own thinking that, oh, I really got this figured out. Challenge other people to challenge your emails.
I love that. Put yourself out there with trusted friends and advisors to have them give you critical feedback, but make sure, again, they're inputs. They're not necessarily the experts. They're just the inputs. But, would you open this email? Would you act on this email? Okay, let's go back to our presenters slide where I bring back to you the fine, lovely pictures of our panelists and, more importantly, their contact information. I gave this to you at the beginning. I'm giving it to you now. If you've not followed them on LinkedIn or Twitter or anywhere else, this is your chance. If you have a question for Jason or for Jack or for me, there's our contact information. So even though you're watching this on demand as opposed to live, you can still reach out and send us your questions. With that, Jason, if people want to get a hold of you, learn more about you, where should they go above and beyond what I've already shared?
Blissfulprospecting.com. There's a couple things you're going to find there just for free. We have two really in-depth guides, one on video prospecting and one where we do cold email breakdowns like this. And then the other place would be to follow me on LinkedIn. So I try to post something once or twice a week where I'm doing either a cold email breakdown or posting a video of some sort and just kind of sharing what we're learning. So definitely check that out. You'll, for free, just get a really good idea of what we're all about.
I love that. So the breakdowns just keep on happening on the emails and everything else. That's fantastic. Jack, yourself, where should they go?
Yeah, so connect with me on LinkedIn, obviously, if you have questions. And then we have another web, so we have creationagency.com. That's the agency that I run, but we actually have a separate entity, which is just delivering tons of value, free email, cold email stuff, social media, social selling, LinkedIn, all kinds of different stuff on skillslab.io. So go check it out. It's just tons of free content on actionable ways to do innovative marketing.
I told you these two guys were the right guys for this conversation. Folks, if you're doing shitty emails, don't worry. We've got you. We've got you for a formula. We've got you for ongoing resources, and you're not alone. Those email samples in the first half of the webinar show you're not alone. So don't beat yourself up on what you've done. Look forward on what you will do. With that, my name is Daryl Pearl. I am with VanillaSoft. If you like today's show, there's more resources just like this at VanillaSoft.com. Please don't hesitate. Check it out. If you're watching this live, we're going to send you a copy soon. Please take that link, share it on social media, send it to your colleagues, send it to your sales reps, your marketing reps. Send it, share it, spread the love, spread the wealth. If you disagree with anything Jason or Jack or I said, carry the conversation on LinkedIn. In the meantime, I am glad you joined us today. I hope you got value. I've had a blast, and I shall see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.